Hello there, I'm Squire Callahan Richborn, almost a Battlemaster, always a wizard, and tonight it is my pleasure to be joined by Iron Lord Gideon Feralheart, always a Battlemaster, almost a wizard, a Paragon Bard from the Principality of the Crimson Sands, a principality that's currently attached to the Kingdom of the Desert Wind. Gideon, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on.
It's great to be here.
Gideon, how did you get your start in Amtgard?
So I'm coming up on this November will be 10 years, and I had a friend of mine. We're all nerds. We all play D&D, Magic the Gathering together. And she was like, "Hey, you want to come check this out?" And I was like, "Yeah, it sounds fun, but also my town is small and it's going to be super ghetto." And I was right. It was like five people hitting each other with sticks, but I had the most fun that night and did not stop since.
Okay. What is your favorite kind of battle game?
So my favorite kind of battle game, you got to keep it somewhat simple. Usually a battle, some type of battle game where it's an even objective or an objective that flips, one-sided capture that you then change, or just even if it's something simple like cat flag or something like that, where both teams are even in their objective, and then you add either a monster and or a terrain effect without it getting too crazy, just something to spice it up.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into talking a bunch about Bard, because we're going to have a lot of fun with it, I'd like to ask you a hard question. Who do you think the best fictional character would be that best represents Amtgard Bard?
Oh, that one's difficult because like the way I play Bard is so different from the way other people play Bard. I'm a
Okay.
very stick heavy bard, and I've
Okay.
seen a lot of bards that are very, very verbal heavy. So I feel like it could be a lot of people.
Let's just narrow it down. Who's the best fictional character that is equivalent to your style of playing Bard?
So as funny as this is going to be, because they're not a bard at all, but what I always think of and I associate my persona with is witchers. When I play bard, I use my songs to swap. They're basically my sigils. That's how I swap in combat to either
Okay.
deflect your attacks, deflect your magic, or to kill you faster.
I can see that. All right. That's a fun answer. So, what made you start playing Bard?
Okay, so I played warrior nonstop for the first couple years. I mean, there were some times that I leveled other classes and like bounced around between druid and wizard because I really wanted some fireballs, but I just mostly stuck to warrior, wanted the armor. Within my first like 2 years, I was able to buy a set that was 6 points. So
That's nice.
I was, yeah, my whole tax return worth it. But I got, I played a battle game at one of our big events where they made it very, very narrow hallways. And if it was a 15-minute battle game, I spent 14 minutes and 30 seconds frozen, stunned, or respawning because the casters. And I was like, wow, this is unfortunate. And when I first started, I was also playing Dag Bell. So I was way more into the martial aspect of the game and got tired of getting shut down by casters nonstop and just getting absolutely wrecked. And then I was like, you know what? If I want to beat them, I got to know what they do. So I started learning the rulebook, learning all about magic, and looked at Bard and said, "Oh, Bards can wear armor. I'd never seen a Bard wear armor." And then I read the abilities and I was like, "Oh, I can ignore magic. Oh, I can ignore. Oh, yeah, Bard. Bard is what I'm doing next."
Okay. So that kind of drew you into Bard. What made you fall in love with the class and want to stick to it, and what motivates you to play Bard still today?
Oh, it's the songs. I love the self buffs and the fact that I can song swap really fast. One of my favorite things, slang I use for it, is called song dancing. But I'll walk straight at an archer singing Song of Deflection.
Mm-hmm.
And as the wizard starts to cast, I switch over to like Song of Interference, so I'm immune to the verbals. And then I see the archer pull their arrow up. I switch back to the Song of Deflection. It's just rapid song swapping to counter different people. I found it so much fun.
That sounds super cool. We will definitely talk a little bit more about song swapping a little later in the episode. Before we get to there, I want to know some more about Bard in general before we get to your play style. So, what makes Bard unique in Amtgard?
A couple things. The songs. They're the only ones that can chant the songs,
Right.
which are self buffs that are, for anybody who doesn't know, takes your enchantment slot, but they, for the most part, are unlimited. The only one is your sixth level that has to be recharged, and that's really cool. Also, they're the only caster that can buy armor. I mean, druids can self enchant, but they're the only ones with physical armor. Plus, combat caster at sixth level, amazing. It's my favorite thing. Casting with full hands, medium shield, and a sword, and I still cast. And bards are the only ones that can battle. They really support other casters.
I soft feel like Bard is a better druid because Bard gets returnable armor. They can buy armor points and wear them for the whole game, and then they can cycle through those immunities. A good Bard, I think, is better than a mediocre druid, just because the versatility in what they're able to equip and have on their spell lists is, I think it fills a similar niche, and I think Bard can do it better than Druid.
I would say it's some things. As also a Paragon Druid who runs a lot of Avatar of Nature, there are some differences. There's some strengths definitely to the Druid. Bard doesn't get any spell balls at all, and that hurts. I would like a spell ball. And right now, there's a big problem with everything is immune to command,
Yes.
which is 90% of my spell list.
Well, and you've been a fan of the show for a while, so you know how I feel we should rebalance the command structure for immunities. But if you were going to give Bard a spell ball, what spell ball would you give them? Which one do you think would be most thematic?
Okay, so what I want, and we've play tested this as a magic item, and I want it in the game so bad, is a pink spell ball that is an engulfing heal spell. So you hit your friend with it, it heals them. We play tested it as a magic item. It was the most fun I've had, like healing people. Thematically, in my mind, it's like like an inspiring note, a musical note, and I'm just smacking you with it from far away to heal you.
I feel like every park eventually makes the heal spell ball as a park relic, because I've had that in my park at least twice at different parks, and I don't know if that would work as a standalone, like in the game spell ball, but I certainly think it's fun, at least at the park level. I'd have to see it run at Kingdom. But yeah, that could be really interesting. Bard doesn't traditionally get a heal, so that would open
They have the enchantment that gives you I'm a Bastion of Healing. Battlefield Triage is the one they get, and it's at 3rd level.
So Battlefield Triage, a 3rd level enchantment usable by bards, be a Bastion of Healing. You may cast Heal by saying Thou art made whole and removing an enchantment strip, and it lasts for 3 strips. So you can do some healing. I did not know that Bard had that. That's super cool.
I think they actually buffed that recently because I think it used to stop you or something, and it was just like unusable, but it's okay now. But as a bard, I really don't want to use up my enchantment slot.
Right, because that's a pretty high expense for you. And it's also only 3 heals, once per refresh, max 1, which is sort of a weird side quest to go on, I feel like.
I would almost rather just have 1 heal per life at 3rd level at that point.
Yeah, that would probably be more useful to you in the long run. But okay, so what roles can Bard fill well on a battlefield?
So the 3 main roles I think of right offhand are you have your traditional support bard that batteries everyone and nobody ever has to recharge anything. You have the way I play is I kind of skirmish, like I hunt down, I try to eliminate casters and archers off the enemy team so that my team has more of the advantage. And that's running combat caster, medium shield, armor, like the whole melee bard kit. And then Bard is the best at CC, crowd control. They've got all the come here, go away, shove you over there. You're not allowed to be around me. You're not allowed to be around anyone type effects.
Okay. What Bard spell do you like the best? What's your favorite Bard spell?
Okay, so I kind of have 2 answers. The first answer is I'm not going to choose it because it's not only Bard, but Greater Release has to be one of my favorite spells in the game.
Okay.
It's, I think, super underutilized sometimes, and I have it every time I can have it. Especially like even healer, because I get innates per life. I run experience. It's just, I used to, with very limited success, run it for countering fight after deaths when that was the thing. But also just being able to take my warrior out of frozen from far away or anything like that. Now, my favorite bard spell that is only bard is probably Song of Survival.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's so many games I would end up getting killed in the backline and then go in sub and they just walk past me and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to come back out behind you now.
Ooh, okay. So you'd have the Song of Survival up, they kill you, you're insubstantial, you're just sort of waiting a second to see what's happening. They're moving on immediately because you're dead, and now you're back and you flanked the flanker at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. I've always associated Song of Survival with like frontline play, and that's really cool. Okay. Now, Song of Survival is the 5th level song, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it does not bring back your armor, right?
No, it does not.
But it does fix any wounds that you have, correct?
Unless they've changed it, it did not restore wounds.
Okay. So if you got
That was like a really common misconception.
so if you got double legged, you would Song of Survival and then return with one limb lost, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it only prevents the killing blow.
Okay.
But I also, to the detriment of my knees, will run someone down on my knees. So I have very expensive knee pads. So
You either have expensive knee pads or you got bad knees. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
a little bit of both.
Okay. So Song of Survival is kind of an interesting one, and it always causes some confusion. So I've got a couple of people at my park that are learning to play Bard, and we've talked about Song of Survival a lot because it says it's unlimited, but you can only benefit from it once. Can you
Yeah.
explain that to anyone in the audience for me?
So if I start, the way songs work, number one, for anybody watching this who might not play Bard, is you say your incant. It's usually with just one simple sentence, and then you go into chanting, and you can sing a song that also represents the effect that you're going for. I'm not going to subject anyone to my singing, so I just chant. So you have, I believe it's 5 seconds in between chants. I could be wrong on that. I'm not looking at the rule book right now. It's either 3 or 5. Is it 2
I'm pretty sure it's only
for chant?
two because it's as
Okay,
per
I thought it was.
chant. Chanting rules are no 5 seconds apart. Never mind.
Okay, yeah, I think 2 is just for cast, for casting.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Never mind. Please continue.
So, um, you have to chant every 5 seconds what song you're using, or it'll stop working. But if I'm using Song of Survival, for instance, it's unlimited, and an arrow gets aimed at me, I can switch to Song of Deflection, which makes me immune to projectile. I haven't triggered my Song of Survival, so it's still unlimited, so I can switch back to it. But once I get hit and it would kill me, and I instead go in substantial with Song of Survival, it has now been triggered, and even though it's unlimited, I cannot use it again until I respawn.
Okay.
So it's unlimited until triggered, basically.
Real quick, since we're on the topic of songs, I would like to run through each of the songs and talk about it real quick. So we're going to start at level 1 with Song of Determination. Talk to me about how Song of Determination is used when you want to be using that song.
So that's a good one, especially for low level bards. Most of the time, by the time I'm 6th level and I can pick up Song of Interference, I don't take it anymore. But it makes you immune to command. So you're going to counter other bards. You're going to counter your warriors and your paladins trying to cast at you. You just become the 6th class in the game to have immune to command at that point.
All right. So, Song of Battle. I sing on my legendary prowess, and then your melee weapons become armor breaking. So, when are you using Song of Battle?
Honestly, I used to take that song, and it just was not doing enough work. I find it to be, it's almost like a trap to me. The other Paragon Bard I talked to at my park, he agrees, like, we just never take it. If someone makes good use of it, I would love to know, because every time I try to engage an armored person with that, and I'm decent stick, no warlord, but I'm pretty decent, and it just wasn't worth it. Like, I'd much rather have the Song of Survival up in case I die during that fight, or I'd much rather be trying to cast an offensive spell on him. The armor breaking just wasn't cutting it.
Okay. I've actually fallen victim to Song of Battle several times. The use case that I've seen for it is I play a lot of wizard, obviously. And if I get Gift of Air, I can only be killed by things that have armor breaking or shield crushing. And so I'll have a bard come up on me and they'll pop Song of Battle, and then I either have to run away or get dead real fast.
I did not think about it for countering Gift of Air. That's good. My park's always had a huge barbarian meta, so there's always been barbarians on both sides. So yeah.
I kind of feel like it wouldn't be that broken to also give it shield crushing.
If it had shield crushing, even if it did shield crushing instead of armor breaking, I would run it all the time. I have way more problems with shields.
There's so much imbue shield and hardened shield out there right now that I don't think it would be that broken to give another class shield crushing. I mean, we gave it to anti-paladin, so maybe that's something we can look at in the future, but I think that wouldn't be a huge change that would it would buff the song a little bit, maintaining its current usability while giving it more value at higher level.
Oh, as a melee bard, that sounds amazing to me. I'll take it.
Song of Visit. I sing to entertain friend and foe. You cannot be wounded, and you're immune to all schools. You're stopped, and you have to chant Song of Visit or sing a song about how friendly and approachable you are. You can sing instead of a normal in-camp, blah, blah, blah. You can't wield any weapons, interact with game objects, impede, play, or gain further enchantments, or target any player. If the insubstantial state is ended... Now, hold on. When Song of Visit is removed, you become insubstantial and have to go directly back to your base. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of a bummer.
I've only ever seen that one used to like either troll the enemy team. We had a bard who would run into the enemy team and do it, and then just sit there and smack talk in between their chants, friendly smack talk, like being humorous about it, or just to, if you're in like a life pool game or some reason you really don't want to die, they pop that to get away. It's not one I was ever able to really use to great effect.
Okay. It's sort of a weird one. It's sort of like monks with sanctuary. It seems to me like they're similar abilities with a fringe use case, and you have to really lean into it if you want to make it work.
Yeah.
So Song of Freedom, you also get Song of Freedom at 3rd level, and you can't become frozen, stopped, or insubstantial unless you have a different enchantment that makes you do one of those things. So
yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Song of Freedom is really, really good. Tell
Yeah.
me about Song of Freedom. When are you using it? How are you using it? What are you doing to get good value?
As I think every park ever has ice balls flying around all the time, I'm blocking every ice ball. That's most of what it's my bane for wizards, because I don't even have to use my Song of Interference most of the time because they're trying to freeze me. So, and we all know being frozen is not the funnest thing to be in the game.
Frozen is inarguably the best state to put an opponent in and the worst state to be in for fun.
And I'm not looking at it right now. It's frozen, stopped, and in sub, right?
Yes. I think you can still be stopped.
So I would also catch pinning arrows with it on my shield.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You can block those, and you can. It also gives you some backdoor immunity to things like Astral Intervention, because prevents you being in sub. So that's the main thing. Yeah. So it's really good. Song of Deflection, the Archer Bane here. So Song of Deflection, you're unaffected by ammunition, thrown javelins, rocks, and thrown weapons. Golfing effects from those objects, such as pinning arrow, do not affect the player, and you must chant Song of Deflection.
Yep. So it used to, they just changed that to be more like protection from projectiles, because it used to be slightly worse. You could still get pinned, but it's so good. I will literally just walk at archers while chanting it, and they're like, well, my team's not around me, I'm done.
So my follow-up for that is, are your weapons and equipment also protected from projectile?
I would have to look at it. Like I said, they changed it. I haven't played Bard, and I think I played it like once in the last year because I've been focusing on other classes. Okay. I'd have to reread it to check that.
Well, we'll have to find out some other place, because I don't have a good way of knowing that. It just says you're unaffected by it, but that doesn't say equipment. So
yeah.
I don't know.
If it doesn't say equipment, then I would assume a destruction arrow will still break your stuff.
So, Song of Power. Song of Power is my favorite Bard song. I love hearing Song of Power. It's just so good. Allies within 20 feet have their charging can't divided in half. It's so good. I love it. It makes everyone else's day go smoother no matter what they're playing.
My duchy that I play out of we have a decent player pool, but we usually play pretty fast-paced games. So that's not really that useful most of the time in our local level, but on a kingdom field, invaluable.
Oh, it's amazing. There's a weird thing that happens with Park Field versus Kingdom Field, where Park Fields, you don't really honestly have time to recharge anything. If you stop to charge times 5, you're basically you're down a man, and that's a lot more impactful when you only have 10 people on a team versus 50. And so at this most recent Kingdom level event that we had here in the Rising Winds, I played Barbarian I teamed up with a bard named Phineas, and we went up there, and I was able to use Rage 15 times in one game with Song of Power cutting every one of those recharges in half. That was just chef's kiss. It was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We couldn't get moved off the point, because between the two of us, I wasn't going anywhere, so they couldn't get to my bard. It was great. Song of Power. Don't sleep on it. Song of Survival. We already talked about it a little bit. It's your favorite spell. Walk me through, how are you using Song of Survival to get maximum value out of it?
The one downside is, like I said, the wounds thing, but the second downside is the fact that your armor doesn't come back. Like, you don't repair armor. Similar to when I'm playing Warrior, if I start getting a kill spell chanted at me, like a Finger of Death or Call Lightning,
Mhm.
and I can finish my Song of Survival real quick before they finish, I'll just use it to basically eat that spell because it basically did nothing. Then I just come back out of it. If I go into a melee fight that I'm not sure I'm gonna win, like against someone more armored than me or a better fighter than me,
Mhm.
I use it. Or if I think I'm in a good position, like if I'm trying to get around to the flank of a line, and I'm like, okay, well, if I die here, I want to pop back up right here to get the flank.
Mm. Okay. I can see that. Oh, speaking of songs that get you out of bad places, Song of Interference. I mean, getting Enlightened Soul on a chant, even though it's a recharge times 5, that seems so powerful. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's someone starts casting at you, or you're gonna go engage the wizard. You just pop that, and now you're immune to all verbals. And you know that that battle mage is not running spell balls. Anytime I was gonna engage caster, use that. I usually run an innate or two on my list just for that, in case I need to get it back real
Mm,
fast. You're at that point. I become a monk with sword and board and 2 points of armor.
right, which that's a lot to deal with. All right, so now that we're through all the songs, we've had our fun with those. Bard ability, do you like the least?
Well, Passion of Healing is not my favorite, but also Discordia, I think, kind of underperforms.
Discordia. So that's another one of those enchantments that's max one, one per refresh, and that yeah, that's the
Gives
one
you
that lets you
three break
suppress
on.
5 people.
Yeah, I don't know if they've reduced that one to three or not yet. They've been doing that with most enchantments. I think Breakcon going per life for bards is amazing. 10 out of 10. That's
Mhm.
probably my second favorite spell under creator release.
Okay.
Just telling another caster to be quiet. It is such a good spell. I'd always take probably like three of them on my bard list, and it felt like they felt like gold. They felt like I had to like really save them for a valuable moment.
Hmm.
Whereas playing wizard, I could just offensively use them to shut down casters before I engage. It going to per life, amazing. I love that so much. Really makes Discordia even more bad because then it's just a few. I can only get one. It's a higher level point, and it's eating my enchantment slot again.
Yeah, and you can't switch into the songs at that point, so you're vulnerable to everything. It feels like bards really don't want a lot of enchantments.
Nope. And I played the meta at my park for a hot minute was lots of druids running summoner and golem stacks.
Mm.
Like on a field of like 20, if we had like 20 people out, we'd probably have 3 to 4 druids that day.
Oh wow.
So I always had people offering me candy, and I was like, I'm not when I'm bard. Like you're just gonna slow me down. I'm not gonna be able to react to things then.
But I mean, they could give you attuned, and then you could hold a second enchantment for your song. But then
Yeah,
it's a lot of
that's the only
steps
time
chasing
I would pick an
candy.
enchantment. A nice attuned flame blade would be great to get that shield crushing.
Okay. When you're playing bard, talk to me about the kit that you have. What is your standard bard equipment look like?
So I have my favorite combo to fight with, and it was starting with warrior, is I use a medium. It's like a 27.5 inch round punch shield, and then I use max length short swords. So I do shield sword, and then I've got a set of 2 point armor. It's like a I'm not even sure what you'd call it. It's like a leather, looks almost like what Jon Snow was wearing towards the end of the series. But yeah, it's pretty light. It's worth two. I think it's worth 3 points now with the update to the armor and everything. So I just run a full kit of armor, short sword, and shield. And I didn't really worry about the spare weapons because I'm packing men's and releases. So if something happens to my equipment, I'll just fix it on the fly.
Okay. Are there any weird rules interactions around bard that our players should be aware of?
Um, I think most of them. I side tangent here, especially going through Battlemaster and Battle Knight and all of that. I really enjoyed teaching people. So
Mhm.
when Battle Knight opened up, and that really reinvigorated my love of the game because I was like, oh, I love doing this anyways. Like I love teaching people, seeing them get to their Paragon hoods and like helping inspire that. So I started making these class tests. And what it is, they're like insanely intricate breakdowns of the class where I go through every single ability, what school it is, what I did it all in Google Forms, and
Mhm.
I was going through like everything, the incant, the school. It was like a little quiz, but it would tell you what you got wrong and what it was. And so I was scouring all of the rules clarification forums. So I would write up everything I knew about an ability. I'd go to the forum, put that ability in there, and just start scrolling posts until I found a weird interaction. And I would note all of those. Well, luckily, I guess because it alleviates some headaches, most of those things have been fixed and or changed
Mm.
with these playtest updates. The big one for Bard that got patched a while back was Infinite Song of Survival, because if you had somebody else release you out of Song of Survival, it didn't use up the Song of Survival for that life. Yeah, it
Okay.
was dumb. And two bards were just running like an experienced greater release, go into Song of Survival, release him, get put into your own Song of Survival, recharge your release because you can recharge while you're in sub. Then they release you, and it was just infinite bard lives. It was a problem. So they already
That's
changed that.
okay. That seems kind of
Um,
crazy that they could pull that off.
yeah,
Like,
I never did that, but I heard about it, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not participating in those shenanigans.
was there any other ones out there that we should that are effective now, or has it all been patched out?
Bard specifically, I'm not thinking of anything that's really that weird. There's some spells and other things that use cases get a little weird that I think people should know, like shove. I feel like I shove myself more than I shove other people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't see a whole lot of other people shove, but if I do manage, like, I'll do this as a healer or a bard, but if someone manages to hit me with a pinning arrow or a entangle ball or something, I'll just shove myself back towards my team because
Mm,
shove works through the stop state. I can't swift teleport out of it because the teleport will fail,
right.
but I can just shove myself real quick. Or if we're playing like battle games, we've done like island hopping battle game type things where you have to get across the like 10-foot gap
Hmm.
or whatever, and just shove yourself over. Like a lot of what I play, like I play Avatar of Nature when I'm a druid, is I'm a very selfish caster. I like to roll the how can I use magic to make my stick better, the Magus type
Okay.
build. Yeah, figured out I could shove myself, and I was like, oh, this is a neat little trick.
Okay. So, Bard is widely the like best support class in the game. Everybody wants a Bard on their team, but how can other classes best support Bard?
I see one. My biggest issue when I played Bard was somebody with super super heavy armor. I would have to. I didn't really like a 6-point warrior. I could tell them to go away or stun them, but that was about it. Like beating them was really a challenge. Uh, my man at arms Orin, he constantly knew I was a problem when I was Bard, so he was always chasing me down as a 6-point warrior. And
Hard to
the
deal with.
best thing my team could do at that point is get the tank off of me. Like somebody peel for me. Somebody else take out the tank.
I want to talk about the weaknesses of Bard real quick. So, first off, what is Bard weak to? What is Bard worried about on a field? Just is it only tanks? Is there more than tanks?
So for me, it was tanks because I was running some armor and decent stick. I'm not really afraid of the monk or the assassin. But if you're not playing a battle bard, especially if you're more of a support bard, not running armor, not running a shield, anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have the typical caster weaknesses. You're gonna be weak to poke. The arrows are gonna be dangerous. You're gonna have to watch out for other casters. The big issue right now is that half the classes are immune to command. So you got to make sure that you're packing something to deal with someone who's immune to command. Because a barbar, a paladin, anti-paladin, a monk is immune to most verbals, and a druid wearing lycanthropy. Five classes right there, not including another bard. They're all immune to command in some way, shape, or form. So big weakness for most of your control spells. You have stun at 6th level. That was my big one for armored targets. The other one is just even packing a quick shove or lost is even command, so that one wouldn't even work. Yeah.
Man,
So basically, shove or stun, I think, is how I dealt with anyone that was immune to command.
what are you doing to deal with monks?
So especially when I was playing Bard, monks didn't have access to any armor. Now they got one, or they got a blessing constantly if they're a medium. Really, we really need to rename one of those just because I get confused all the time. Honestly, most of the time I just try to outstick them. I'm wearing
Okay.
armor a lot of time. I would just try to just try to beat them. For a caster heavy bard, that's gonna be way more difficult. Don't engage the monk would be my my suggestion, playing rock, paper, scissors here, and that's not your matchup.
Right. Okay. How much does Bard worry about dispel, if at all?
Not at all. You want to dispel my song, go right ahead. You can dispel it, and I will recast it 2 seconds later. So, plus, one of the, I guess, weaknesses of Bard is I really don't want an enchantment on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really benefit from getting enchantments unless I have it attuned. So I'm not worried about the dispels at all.
Has anyone ever hit your Song of Interference with a dispel?
No, they talked about it. I had a wizard that was talking about it. He's like, "Can I dispel that?" And I was like, "Sure. If yeah, it'll work. You can try it on the field." He never did. But like I said, I ran innates just for that. So
Yeah. How many innates are you normally buying?
I think on my average list is like two.
Okay.
I try to recharge whenever I'm in sub if I need to, but the innate is like a get out of jail free card. Like I need this right now.
Yeah. Okay. So shifting gears again out of the Bard meta questions, but like how does Bard play differently on a kingdom field versus a park field? How does the class shift?
So that one's interesting because I feel like it really, really depends on the bard. Because if you're running a full Song of Power battery bard, you're just going to be in the back line running around supporting your wizards, your healers. Even if you got a sniper on your team, I love having a battery bard when I play sniper. Like I'm out of arrow charges, they just run up, hit me, and I'm back in it. I honestly play bard more like a flanker and try to skirmish the sideline. When I was up at our Kingdom event, Salt Wars, 2 years ago, I would take a lane. You know, I almost think of Amtgard as a hero shooter. Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, Rivals. We pick our hero, our class, and then we do an objective of some sort. And I would try to take a side lane where there wasn't as much fighting, and either get picks on important casters. But what I remember, there was one game where I took a side lane and I just kept like 4 people occupied. I was shoving them, awing, insulting. 2 points of armor sorted board. I would engage if they would engage, and literally I just kept 4 people out of the fight for a good chunk of the fight. Just trying to make my team have greater numbers by controlling the field. I think that's honestly what, if you're not playing battery, that's what a bard does, is control where people are on the field, try to make people go away or come to you or be where you want them to be, whether you're doing it with stick or just with your spells.
All right. What is the minimum equipment I need to play Bard?
A dagger if you want it. Minimum is just a blue sash, pretty much. Bards can go super, super verbal heavy. You can go into the stick realm, but you don't have to.
When you start building your spell lists, walk me through that process. Are you buying songs first? Are you starting with archetypes? What does that look like?
So it depends on what I'm doing. I almost all casters, my first thought process is, do I want an archetype or not? Because that's going to affect the whole spell list. I always start top to bottom because your spell points roll down. So with Bard, I almost always take combat cat. I have my default list that shifts around a little bit, and it's combat caster with full equipment. A lot of times I might only buy 1 point of armor just because Bard armor is expensive. Being able to cast with a sword and shield in hand is invaluable because I can be engaged with one person and also casting on the person next to them simultaneously. I've never really ran Legend. It just didn't seem that great to me. But Dervish, I have run for Kingdom games, and if there was a lot of terrain like pits or bridges, and I just really needed to double all my shoves, so I have 14 per life and could move people around. But even that prices me out of having a medium shield. I got to run small at that point. I would start there, thinking like, okay, what role do I want to accomplish in this game? Am I gonna brawl in the melee, or am I going to cast? Then I look at the archetypes and roll down from there and decide, okay, well, what songs do I want? What support spells do I want? And then spend the rest in as much CC of different types as I can.
Can you walk me through your standard spell list that you mentioned? What does that look like? What's on it?
So it's combat caster, and then I run most of the songs. Song of Power I won't take at like a small field, and Song of Battle I usually won't take. Song of Termination I usually won't take, but all the other ones I'm going to be song swapping through them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Pay for my gear, and then from that point, I know I need some mends, some releases, Swift. If I'm worried about casters, depends on if I pick up that innate or not, and then from there, uh, insult, awe, shove. I do the insult awe combo a lot to warriors especially if they'd want to insult me, I'll just insult them at the same time and then awe them. So now they can only fight me, but they also cannot be 20 feet within range of me or fight me.
Right.
So it's like it's kind of two-part agoraphobia in a way, which I actually do not run agoraphobia almost ever because I think that is a very, as a warrior who got hit with that quite a few times, I think it is an unfun spell to get hit by.
Mm.
So especially on a smaller field, I'm like, yeah, you can play the game. I'm not going to tell you to go off by yourself for 30 seconds.
All right.
I feel less bad about the insult awe combo because it's a two-part combo. So if I get that off on you, it's like, well, you had a chance.
Well, also they
But
don't have to
I
avoid
always,
everyone else at
oh,
that
go ahead.
point. They don't have to avoid everyone else at that point. They can go and get a release if they can go
Yeah,
find that.
yeah, they could go get released. Yeah, there's some counterplay to it. Agoraphobia, there's not a whole lot of counterplay to it because you have to stay away from the person trying to release you.
This is a weird, hyper specific instance, but my friend Hodge and I have theory crafted that. So agoraphobia says that you have to stay at least 20 feet away from every other living player, and greater release has a range of 20 feet. So if you have your agoraphobia player over here and you have exactly 20 feet away a person with greater release, they can sit exactly 20 feet away and cast greater release on the agoraphobia player, because the maximum and the minimum, it has to be like precise, but you can pull it off.
No, I do not disagree with that. That should work hypothetically.
In practice,
Should I ever
it's not going to happen.
should I ever agoraphobia somebody though? I'm gonna chase them around to make your life difficult, Like
Right. Now it's surprise leg day.
yeah, when I was playing warrior, I would do that to other warriors. I would just insult them and then back up and make them come to me a little bit. It's like, oh well, you're gonna if you want to fight, you're gonna take a little jog real quick.
Okay. I want to talk about the archetypes for a bit, because there are three of them and they're all very different. So, combat caster, we've already mentioned, you don't need an empty hand to cast abilities. That seems so strong and so useful. Like, when I thought about playing Bard, that's the reason I thought about playing Bard, was to get that combat caster. How clutch is that ability?
Oh, 10 out of 10. It makes me a full sword and board fighter while casting. It's
I
so
don't.
good.
I like that there's no downside. It doesn't feel like there's a lot else that we have to worry about there. If we look at Dervish, Dervish makes your equipment cost doubled, but every verbal gives you double the usage.
Also, super good. It can be so oppressive to have a bard have 700 control spells. When I ran it and I was running, I don't remember if I actually paid to have the medium shield because that would eat up my entire point. So I was probably running a small shield. But the 14 shoves per life for 7 points at the lower end is crazy. You seems like not that much, but
7 shoves is a lot of shoves.
yeah. So 14 shoves is so many shoves. I had one barbarian who really wanted to fight me that day, and he never got the chance to. I just shoved him the entire game.
Oh, that poor man had to run quite a bit.
Yeah, and he came back out. He comes out less frequently than other people.
Mm.
He came back out now that I'm playing healer, and he tries to run up on me, and now I just circle of protection. So he's not catching a break from trying to fight me.
It's rough to try to catch the good casters. Okay. Legend feels weird to me. So I come from playing Wizard, where my meta magic archetype gives me unlimited amulet. Healer makes all of your meta magic rechargeable. Legend just feels lame in comparison.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I
not
think
even
most
getting a
people agree.
discount. Like I guess it only costs 1 point, but it's 4 extensions per life. How are you using those? Are you running out? Tell me about Legend. When's the right time for
I
Legend?
I've never ran it, and I've never seen anyone else really run it at an effective build. I guess it's if you really want to stay away and cast, but I like to get up close and personal, so it has not worked for my playstyle.
Okay. I really feel like it would not break Legend to make it unlimited extension. Like,
I could see it being a major issue at like a really small park, but most casters can be a major issue at a really small park, so it
You have to
doesn't
balance
matter.
for Kingdom Fields, honestly. Like anybody at a small park can rock a small park. Like if you get somebody in 6 points armor and everybody else doesn't have more than a Gambison, they're the problem at the
Yep.
park. Like it's trying to balance for a small park will never amount in anything other than people playing level 1.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And then they're going to complain about shove at level 1 and heat weapon at level 1. If you've I feel like it would not be that oppressive at a kingdom level, and I don't know, maybe we'll see that happen someday, but I digress.
Yeah, I don't think it would. It'd probably work fine. I mean, unlimited ambulant is powerful, but still works for wizards. So
Yeah. All right. So does I mean, you're in a principality, you're part of a kingdom, it's sort of a weird spot. Do you guys have a circle of paragons in just the principality, or do you have one for the whole kingdom? How does that work out there?
our principality has only been official for a few months now.
Okay.
We just finally got it in writing and passed the vote. We are very much south of our kingdom, so 4 parks down here are breaking off to make a principality, so that our kingdom is closer once we establish that. I don't think the Kingdom of Desert Winds doesn't have like a circle of paragons that are active. I've joined like a Paragon Facebook group and a Discord chat that are all very inactive. Me and a couple of the other battle masters are talking about starting one for our principality because we think it's important. Obviously, on the path of battle, paragons are important. There's a lot of there's a lot of people that want to paragon something or are trying for it. They're trying for that battle, and sometimes it's hard to get noticed.
That's a great segue to my next question. How can players get noticed if they're trying to become a paragon?
I still struggle with that one a little bit myself sometimes. Getting Paragon Bard was not that hard for me. I think it was because I took Bard a different way than anyone else in my park played it.
Hmm.
We had some sword and board bards, but nobody actually brawled with it and like ran backline, did that kind of stuff. It was mostly recharge and shove, stay away kind of bard. So when I did that, it really stood out to players because when you had the bard just backline 6 people, everyone was confused. They were like, "What?" I thought bard was not the fighty class.
Hmm.
So I really think that if you do something different than what your current meta is, it's a good way to get noticed because you're going to stand out. Other than that, the look the part or looking like your class is very subjective, but if you have some kind of garb that makes you stand out, you do want to look some kind of unique
Mm-hmm.
or do something to portray a little bit of the vibe you're going for, even if it's not like a super musical bard. I always thought of myself more as like the warrior poet type.
Okay.
Yeah, and other than that, I would say it's very, very beneficial to talk to other paragons. So I have 4 paragons, and I am actually apprenticed to a bunch of other paragons for other classes so that I have someone to watch me give direct feedback. And I was like, just because I'm a Battlemaster doesn't mean I know everything. Like, I still got things to learn.
Yeah. All right. What advice would you give someone starting out as a level 1 bard?
Shove, really, really lean on shoving people away. Anyone at level 1, I don't care if you're a wizard, healer, work on your single sword a little bit. I went out as bard for months, single sword only, and got annihilated a lot of it, but it made me so much of a better fighter on a field. Long deflection really helps with that because then I didn't at least didn't have to worry about the arrows. But getting a little bit of sword skill really helps your casting classes so that when someone runs up on you, if you get suppressed or you get someone in close range, you're not defenseless. You want to have that to fall back on. Otherwise, Bard's kind of like Wizard. You're going to be shouting at people a lot. So work on that. Like work on memorizing your spells, work on being comfortable casting at an event. So I've won 2 Kingdom level Battlemaster tournaments
Hmm.
that were both the ones I won were when Battlemaster stuff first started, and they were doing. I don't know if you're familiar with Destiny, but
Not really.
it almost felt like the Trials of Osiris to me. It was like a 3v3 deathmatch type battle tournament, which is cool and does have its place, but should not be, the end all be all for battles. Like I like to see the type of tournaments where there's multiple teams running and all that. So I'm not saying that this should be like a sword tournament at all, but we did run a couple that were similar to what your normal sword tournament would be, but with 3-man teams of classes.
Why should I start playing Bard? Give me the elevator pitch for Bard.
So the reason I started playing Bard is because I wanted to be a warrior, but I also wanted to ignore your magic. There's two big reasons to play Bard. If one, you want to help your team out, or two, you just want to ignore magic and still hit people, Bard. Like it's kind of like Monk, but with way more options as far as kit is like you can do armor, you can do shield. Oh, I guess monks have 1 point now, but armor, shields. You want to ignore arrows. You want to just ignore the long range stuff so you can hit people closer. Bard.
Have you ever taken on an apprentice?
So, for Bard, no. I've had 2 apprentices for warrior and my barbarian. When I got Paragon Barbarian, I didn't have an official apprentice, but I was teaching somebody and we were playing at the same time and we actually paragoned at the exact same time. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool. It was really cool. So I have had a couple warrior. I haven't had any for bard yet. I haven't had any for druid and not an official one for barbarian. So just two warrior apprentices.
okay. If someone wanted to be your apprentice, how would you want them to approach you?
Just talk to me about it. Ask about it. Come up, talk shop. I love talking shop. I have all the weird rules, interactions, and weird things I'm always thinking about. And if you can bring another weird interaction to my attention, I would love to know. Yeah, if I like you, like if we get along and we vibe somewhat, like I'd be open to taking an apprentice. Even if there's people that I don't want to officially apprentice, I will more than happy to still talk shop and help you out, watch you play, give feedback, all of that stuff.
Right. So, what is your next Amtgard goal? What are you working on now?
So I my personal goals, I am playing a lot of classes and it's almost at the point where I get the silver trim and I'm like, all right, I just played that class so much. I'm hanging that up for a little while now, even though I just got the silver trim and I'm gonna try something new.
Yeah.
So I just recently, my last Paragon I got was Druid. It's actually my scroll behind me over there.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
and I got it after years of playing Druid. Druid was the second class I ever leveled up in this game.
Oh, wow.
And I played it in a couple bursts, and then it got really popular at our park with especially golems. But part of how I cracked roleplay into the combat of Amtgard is there are certain spells and things I won't use. So my character is kind of a monster hunter type, and so I will not use or take undead minion, golem, those types of spells. And that stems from a balance issue at small parks where it was really affecting, like when you only have 8 people on the field, whoever had that set of enchantments won. So I stopped taking them, but I made it a part of my character and my role play as to not take them
Okay.
or use them. So we had a huge meta where we had druids all the time, golem stacks left and right. So I instead started playing Avatar of Nature specifically to hunt other golems.
Mm.
And I would naturalize match them, take them out. But it took so long. It was like 2 years of me playing Druid before, like straight before being able to get my Paragon. So I get bored. And I actually stopped playing Druid for a while just because I was like, all right, I'm tired. Like it feels grindy at this point. Like I want to have some more fun. So right now I am working on not just acquiring Paragon hoods, but like getting to the point where I deserve the Paragon hood and know the classes intimately because that helps me teach other people. So I'm achieving something for myself and making myself a better teacher. So on one hand, it's detrimental right now because I'm playing ADHD mode where I'm playing a different class all the time.
Yeah.
I'm bouncing between archer and healer right now. And the only reason I am not bouncing between wizard is because I still haven't made my spell balls. But as soon as that happens, I'm going to be bouncing there too. Uh, I bounce assassin a little bit, but I'm still leveling that one up. So I am just bouncing around trying to get a feel for the different classes. And My goal is to really find a way to make that class suit my play style and figure out how I can do something that I don't usually see with it.
Okay. So we already sort of answered this question, but can people come up and talk shop with you at events?
Yeah, all the time. And if I am busy or I got something going on, I will let you know, but I'll remember your face and we will find each other later, you know?
Perfect.
I tend to stay up late if I'm at events, so you can talk shop with me all night. Like,
All right. Do you have any final advice for all of our bardlings before we let you go?
just try it out, you know? Like, there's a lot of aspects to casters. Casters are complex in the way that there's usually at least three solid different ways to run a caster. So if you have ideas or you want to try to differentiate yourself, just try it. You know, at my park, no one had seen the hyper aggressive combat style of Bard until I did it. So if you want to play a wizard that stabs people or something like that, there's ways to do it. You know, don't be afraid to work on it, make it your own, and you are gonna lose a lot. You are gonna lose a lot of 1v1s, get messed up a lot. First, learning a spell or learning any new class. So don't be afraid to. This is the game of infinite lives. Like you will come back, there'll be another life, another respawn, another game. Just don't be afraid to try it out.
A special thank you to Iron Lord Gideon Feralheart, always a Battlemaster, almost a wizard. Thank you for being here. If you, our viewer, have made it to the end of this episode, please comment down in the comments with any questions you have. Please subscribe for more excellent battle gaming content, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great night.